Hey there, once again, it's me, Jian, Lasala, and welcome to Pageant Talk Season 2. And if you thought that we're going to rest in pageantry after Miss Universe, no, we're not, because this coming July, or as of recording, we're actually, being served with a lot of beauty pageants. And coming in to the same month where all the pageants are happening is Miss Philippines Earth, now in its second year to do its virtual pageant. And representing Tanay Rizal, we have Sophia Lopez Galve. Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hello, Tito. I'm very fine po. Thank you so much for asking. Kumusta, Tito? It's been a long time since we last met each other. That was 2017 pa. Ang tagal na. And that was still with Mr. in Philippines. Tito
Yeah.
Jian was one of our fashion designers. And si Tito talaga has always been with me ever since. Talaga
Yeah.
nagkukumustahan kami niyan. Nagko-comment kami sa Facebook post. So, I really love Tito Jian. And thank you so much for inviting me today.
You're welcome. And I always saw your potential, Sophia, and I'm so happy that you hopped in, no, and decided to be a part of a national pageant. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Sophia, now I have gotten to know you a little bit more over Facebook, but tell us, who is Sophia Galve, and tell us more about yourself.
So, Sophia Galve is a woman of the earth. So, I have always been inspired to advocate for our environment, especially now that I have actually co-founded my own business, which is called the Buon Camp and Eco Park. That is also based in Barangay Kayabut, Tanay. So, because of this project that we started last year, I have been more involved in community and social projects and programs. Um, and because of this concept of an eco park, I've also been involved in environmental projects in our barangay. So this is actually one of the reasons I wanted to join Miss Philippines Earth. And so aside from that, um, another thing about me, I feel like my one of my biggest achievements is that I am actually able to put my sisters through school. So I'm so proud of my sister. Hi, Naomi. She recently got admitted into one of the best schools in the Philippines. And I'm happy to say na yung dating pinapangarap ko na as a panganay, I want to be able to provide for my family. I am actually doing it in reality now. It's so surreal to be able to live in their dream from before. And that's what I'm doing as I am supporting my sister's education. And I am also I'm also actually graduating from the University of the Philippines with a degree in speech communication. So I actually shifted from political science to speech communication. And aside from those, I have been in pageants in a very long time. I started back in 2014. So yeah, those are just a little information about me.
Yeah. So, okay, Sophia. Now, you've mentioned in before previously before we recorded this episode how you started into pageantry, and mind you guys, it's a long list.
Uh,
So briefly, Sophia, tell us
Go.
tell us more. Okay, tell us briefly how you started into pageantry and up until where you are right now as a Miss Philippines Earth candidate.
So a friend from our small town actually invited me to join a barangay pageant. So her name is Ate Kim. Hi, Ate Kim Madaya. She's been my supporter ever since. And yun, so I really started from barangay pageants. It did not come out of nowhere. I'm not yung pageantera na agad. Talagang I started small. And from the barangay level, I went to the municipality. And then I went to the provincial, which is Miss Rizal 2015. And then I went to minor nationals, like for example, Miss Rizal Philippines, where I was third runner-up and where I met Tita
Yeah.
Jian. And then I also tried my luck in or Miss Mandaluyong 2020. So I had a hiatus between 2017 and 2020 where I focused on building my portfolio and my resume as a writer. And then after Miss Mandaluyong, I got to be invited by my glam team. Sabi nila, nak Miss Philippines Earth ka na. And it was actually very fortunate timing because they asked me about it, I was already working on my project in Tagpuan Tanay Park. And I already have my advocacy. I am already geared up with my with my plan, with my system. And I went into this pageant armed with this kind of advocacy na share ko na agad. So I did not develop my advocacy around the pageant because I wanted to join in a pageant. I joined this pageant because I already have an advocacy that I want the Filipino people to hear about.
Yeah, very good. And in connection to the next question, and guys, she shared with me a lot of things before we did the recording. And you mentioned right now that you had your advocacy, you had that eco park established before coming to Miss Philippines Earth. Now, tell us more about that, and what do you hope to achieve should you win the Miss Philippines Earth title?
Okay. So what I want to achieve is I want to be able to implement my advocacy in a nationwide level. So let me just tell you something about my advocacy. I'll try to explain it very simply. So we are an ecotourism site. We will receive guests from all over the Philippines, as a glamping site. And obviously, these guests will be able to produce biodegradable waste, for example, from residual waste from their food, for example. So those biodegradable waste, we want to manage it through a vermicompost system. So vermicomposting is composting with worms added. So these worms will digest these waste. It will produce a byproduct that will be able to fertilize crops. So we're also building a greenhouse in Tagpuan. So we will be able to use those fertilizers coming from the worms in that greenhouse to produce even more crops. And those crops, for example, eggplants, lettuce, tomatoes, we will be able to use it for our mini restaurant. So another interesting fact about that is the greenhouse will actually be managed by the indigenous peoples of our barangay in Tayabu. So they will be able to grow their own crops there. We will have no hand in that, but we will buy from them. So we will have this kind of circular economy where we are actually benefiting from the waste that are coming from our tourists, and then we're actually being able to put it into more profitable and more productive resources.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's a little bit something about my advocacy. It's a bit more complicated actually on paper. I have this whole 15-page written about it, and that's what I want to achieve with my stint at Miss Philippines Earth. Wow, excited.
Excited.
Excited ako doon.
Excited.
Well, that's as a young beauty queen, that's always one of our goals, to become Miss Universe. But right now, I want to focus on Miss Philippines Earth. And what I want to achieve with Miss Philippines Earth is to be able to introduce this kind of ecotourism system to other ecotourism sites in the Philippines. I want to, make seminars, engage other tourism managers about this, and so, they may be able to implement it and create their own circular economy within their communities.
Wow. And then you mentioned earlier, Sophia, that you wanted this to be brought into a national level. Can you talk to us about this briefly? Yeah.
So I have started a little bit on this advocacy, but I thought of pivoting it into something a little bit more portable, because my advocacy talaga will need ecotourism sites. So not all people have ecotourism sites, as a business. So I wanted to make this portable so that people, even in condominiums and in public schools, I actually want to introduce public schools this kind of portable vermicompost system, so we can also grow our own crops using our fertilizers from our waste. So I wanted to introduce this to schools. They are one of the what can I say? They are more convenient to target as a population kasi mas madaling turuan din talaga ang mga bata about vermicomposting. So I'm trying to make this prototype of portable vermicompost system so that I can introduce this to a lot of public schools across the Philippines. So, we can introduce ourselves to a lifestyle of home growing crops and, vermicompost systems in our homes.
Yeah, and it actually teaches kids to eat vegetables and have
Yes, that's true.
healthy nutrition, a better nutrition.
Kasi gawa nila eh. So,
Yeah,
I'm proud. I grew this. So, I'm gonna
oo.
eat this vegetable.
That's true. And there's something about really in creating your own meal, designing your own clothes, and like in my case, I'm a designer. So at least it comes out from your own productivity and produce. No? So, okay, Sophia, briefly, how can you convince our generation today that they can contribute in improving our climate change situation? Like you've mentioned
So,
to me several times, no, that even if it's just a small contribution, like it's just, if you think like you're just putting out one plastic in on the streets, it has a harmful effect. Now you've shared it to me earlier. Can you share it to us, no, to our audience? Like how can they contribute in improving our worsening global climate change? Yeah.
yes. So, I believe in the ripple effect that, a little bit of distraction or a little bit of disturbance in our natural world actually causes a lot more different impact in another place. So, well, that's a butterfly effect. So, wait lang, tita, ulit.
Yeah.
Nawala ako dun. Naging butterfly effect yung sinasabi.
Chill ka lang, chill lang.
Yes,
Sige, 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay. So, as much as it sounds like a cliche, a small step actually makes a big difference in our world. So, when I was younger, I've always been respectful of other people in that I try not to throw my garbage in the road or something. I always try to conscientiously put my stuff where they are supposed to be. So, when we got into the Ondoy typhoon, I know you guys have experienced this. A lot of you have been victimized by it actually. And I'm one of the people who were able to experience it firsthand. And ang lakas ng ulan noon, ang bilis umakyat ng baha. I swam in flood waters and I could see the garbage just swimming around me as well. And that was one of the biggest realizations in my life. That is one of the biggest things that taught me on why it is so important to protect our environment because it really comes back for us. Maybe one of those days na talagang tinamad ako and I threw something on the road, baka bumalik din pala siya sa akin during the typhoon. And ever since, I really carried it with me, the type of conscientiousness that I want everyone else to have as well. Just always be conscious about the things that you're doing. That's the first step, really. Be conscious about the things that you consume, the things that you produce, and the things that you put out in our environment. And, I want to convince my fellow Filipinos through my stories. Kasi one of the biggest ways talaga to teach a lesson is through real experiences. Kasi when you give them, a textbook description of why and how this is important, does that really come through? Does that really come across as a meaningful message? But when you use stories, those are very powerful. And I know that Filipino people have a lot of stories to tell, especially when it comes to how they were affected by our natural disasters. We're in the Ring of Fire of the Pacific. And talagang isa tayo sa mga favorite na mga natural disasters. So, it's really high time na maging conscious tayo with what we use, especially, single-use plastics. Talagang yung mga maliliit na bagay like that, it really makes a difference kapag tinapon mo yun sa kalsada lang. And especially fast fashion then, this is something na it's becoming more popular as a topic. Pero before, wala pang nakakaalam nito. But actually, fast fashion is one of the biggest contributors to our carbon emissions. So, ako din as a person, when I was in college, I actually like recycling my mom's old clothes. Talaga yung mga malalaki na damit, sinusuot ko, ginugupit ko, ay tinatahi ko din. Buti na lang natuto din ako ng from her. So those are, small things that I do for myself na nakakatulong din kahit pa paano to Mother Earth. Kasi nakatipid na din ako and I was able to at least reserve our resources. And aside from that, simple things, simple decision-making things like what type of transport to use in your daily activities, Also, one of the reasons I haven't considered buying a car is because it's one of the biggest contributors then to our emissions. So, as long as I can go around pa with other transportation options, I will stick to that. So, very, very small things like that really affect how our Earth works. So, talagang my advice then talaga to everyone is just put a little bit more conscientiousness in everything that you're doing in life, in your household, in your lifestyle as well.
Yeah, so it's really more of like your perception and how you consume things, no? So it's really about having a repentance on why I should need this, why should I buy this. So it's a way you consume. No? So, and before I would like to reiterate on consumerism. On our next question is, what do you think can our generation do in the coming years to reverse the worsening conditions of our environment? And you've mentioned earlier, off the record, that that there are, that you're actually encouraging people to use bar shampoos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate further, like how these small things and how these innovative ideas can actually save the environment?
Yeah. So it might actually just sound trendy. Parang kasi uso talaga sa kabataan yung trendy things like TikTok and stuff like that. And bar shampoos is one of those trending things that it's actually really fun to use. Yeah. But it also helps conserve our environment because it doesn't use single-use plastics as as a packaging. Talagang, actually, as yung mga ginagamit ko din na bar shampoos, talagang paper lang din yung packaging niya. So, it's very eco-friendly. Stuff like that, makakatulong ka na agad sa pag-lessen kasi it's a supply and demand thing. So, when you demand more bottled shampoos from our corporations, they will really supply us with a lot more bottled shampoos, diba? Yeah. But when they see that we are trying to, or we are getting interested with this type of bar shampoos, they might be able to consider to switch to those kinds of products then. So it's really about how we consume things. Kasi it's really the corporations din talaga. Well, we also have our own carbon emissions. The corporations are the biggest ones that produce them. So, as our part, as consumers, I hope I can encourage you guys to be more mindful about what you buy. To say it really starts with that consumerism type of thinking. You just want everything. You just want to be able to have everything within our reach. And I hope you guys move from that convenience perspective towards a more sustainability perspective na kahit mahirapan kayo magdala ng tumbler, kahit medyo bulky magdala ng straw or ng forks and spoons like that, mas okay naman siya kaysa gumamit ka nga ng plastic utensils, diba? Just try to sacrifice a little bit of your daily life na magdadala ka lang ng mga ganon to make a difference. Hindi naman kasi siya, it's not asking a lot from us, It's not asking us to produce our own bamboo utensils. Hindi. A lot of companies are doing that already for us. A lot of eco-friendly companies are doing that for us. And I hope we go to a more, we go to a thinking or a mindset where we want to be as sustainable as possible. And yun nga, I also mentioned fast fashion kanina and transportation options. Those are also some of the ways that we can reverse the climate change situation. It might not be easy to reverse it, but we still can as long as we really consciously do our own part. Kasi it might seem small, pero it's just like voting. One vote matters. So I hope you guys get into that mindset na, tanggalin na yung mindset na hindi, wala lang yan, isang plastic lang yan. It's never just one plastic. It's never just you throwing that one plastic at that 1 second, probably madami ka din, hundreds of thousands of people ang kasama mo nagtapon ng plastic at that particular moment. It's true. It happens. Sobrang dami natin. It's not an impossible coincidence. So do not ever think that yourself does not count. You will always count, and you will always count towards protecting our mother.
Yeah, and then wow, that's really nice, Sophia. And yeah, you also mentioned earlier that in your own eco park, you're thinking of actually helping the indigenous people develop their own products, and you want to provide for that platform for them. So tell us more about it, which is also a part of your advocacy, like letting them make their own soaps or shampoos that can be used resort. Yeah,
that's true. Kasi, di ba, usong-uso sa ating mga Filipino yung kumukuha tayo ng toiletries sa mga hotels, di ba? Yung shampoos na maliliit, yung mga bars, ganyan. So, what I want to do din kasi, since our company or our eco park is implementing a no single-use plastic policy, we're also implementing this program that would harmonize with that, wherein we want to teach indigenous peoples how to make bars of soaps and bars of shampoos and conditioners para talaga wala na kang gagamitan ng single-use plastic. We will stay true to our vision. And, by doing that program, we're actually able to give economic opportunities to these indigenous peoples, and as well as mas nakaka-reserve din talaga siya ng resources natin. At least we're not demanding more single-use plastics from corporations. We're not going to buy and, say we're a hotel, we need this small bottles. So we were taking that kind of demand from them so that, kahit papaano, kahit konting impact lang, maisip din ng mga corporations natin na mag-shift na lang tayo towards a more sustainable kind of development.
Yeah, and speaking of sustainability, and I've shared to you earlier, Sophia, that majority of my collections in recent times, the ones that I've showed in Korea, even at Miss Universe, are from recycled material. So,
nice.
Either I upcycle or recycle. But of course, aside from me saving a lot of money because it was inspired during the time that I got so depressed, I almost got bankrupt before I became a born-again Christian. So I became more resourceful, and it's actually very beautiful, and your creativity will be stretched, knowing that your resources are limited. And from the recycling part, you're actually helping the environment as well. Because again, like what Sophia mentioned, fast fashion is really contributing a lot in the carbon emission that is really, worsening the whole global climate situation. Tama yun, no? Whatever you put out there, it will come back to you talaga 100-fold. And there's really nothing wrong with recycling. If you don't need to buy a new piece of outfit, then don't, no? If like yung sinabi ni Sophia, I never heard of shampoo bars. I want to try that, no? Kasi it makes sense na it's hard to recycle kasi yung mga shampoo bottles parang hindi siya natutunaw agad.
Yung shampoo bottles.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have naman, yung big corporations that produce shampoos, they actually had programs before na yung mga refill. Parang may naglalagay sila ng refilling station sa mga malls, and then you can just bring your own bottle and refill it there, pay for it. Pero I think kasi that was right before the pandemic happened. Parang nawala din yung concept agad kasi the pandemic happened and malls closed. So I think one of the best ways to do it, mga bar shampoos, bar conditioners even.
Yeah. Maybe you can start that in your own resort, diba? Nature resort.
Yes.
Bar shampoos.
To do that.
And then let us know.
Actually, Tita, speaking of that, one of my visions talaga din, one of my programs that I want to implement in our eco park as another income opportunity for the ITs is I want them to learn how to make bar soaps then or bar shampoos so that we have our own manufacturing facility in the eco park. And ayun nga, as my vision will always be, palagi siyang nakakatulong sa mga ITs. So talagang hindi na kami bibili sa iba, diba? Homegrown na yung products namin.
Yeah. Or I wanna pray over that later, Sophia. Kasi parang ang ganda ng project eh. Kasi like me, I really want, like right now, I'm looking forward to really having a vacation. So now that you mentioned that you own
Mm.
an eco park, me and my friends, we're gonna consider going there soon. All right.
Yay! Thank you,
Just
Tito.
DM me the details.
Opo.
Okay.
Pagbuo na, Tito, pag na-construct na namin.
Sige, let us know. Let us know. Okay. Sige, next question. Okay. What do you think can our generation do in the coming years to reverse the worsening conditions of our environment?
So, I guess one of the biggest ways that we can look at reversing the climate change situation is going back to other types of transportation, especially bikes and e-bikes. Kasi talagang malaki yung nakakain or nagko-consume ng fossil fuels ng ating cars. That is actually also one of the reasons why I have considered buying a car, but I've never really done it because as long as I have something else to go around, I'm okay with that. For example, Grab,
Yeah.
or my family has a car pa naman, they can drive me around. I'm okay with that. Pero we should be more conscientious talaga in the things that we buy. I know that a car has always been a symbol of making it in the Philippines. When you have a car, you feel like you've made it, especially when you're in your 20s. But don't always be. I know people need it, so if you really need it, you can go ahead and buy. But if you're just buying it for the status symbol, don't, because it's really one of the biggest factors or contributors to our climate change, yung nako-consume natin na fossil fuels. And aside from that, talagang we should be able to move from a convenience standpoint to a sustainability standpoint, because I know nasanay tayo that we are in a technologically advanced world. Everything is at the tip of our thumbs, and we can just order takeout anytime, anywhere. We can have our food delivered. And it's very easy. Everything is so easy. Everything is being done for us. And I hope to go a little bit away from that mindset na imbes na madalian na lang tayo sa lahat, why don't we go ahead and at least sacrifice yung comfort? Bring your own tumbler, bring your own spoon and fork, bring your own straw. Yung ganong counting inconvenience kasi will really make a difference. Yeah. Especially kasi since a lot of the wastes that are going into our oceans are single-use plastic. So, while it may not be the number one problem of our marine life, it still is a big problem. So, anything talaga that we can refuse, that we can reduce, we should do that. And another thing that I personally do for myself, I also agree with you, Tito, yung sa no to fast fashion.
Yeah.
So, well, sometimes, may need talaga na bilhin. But for me, I always try to reuse all of my clothes. So actually, itong quote na to, ilang beses naman na nakita everywhere.
I like what you're wearing.
Hindi siya. It's not new. It's like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old coat na yata. I'm not afraid of using it and reusing it, especially on social media. I don't care if makita nila ulit ako in the same outfit, because kaysa bili ako ng bili and the things that grow old, itatapon na lang or idodonate na lang. So parang, kasi it's a demand and supply thing. If you demand more from these fast fashion companies, they will supply more. Yeah. So talagang magkakaroon tayo ng more waste coming from these fast fashion garments. So, ayun talaga. I also love, actually, Tito, marunong din ako magtahe. So, when I was in college, hindi naman kasi kami talaga well-off family. So, when I was in college, I used to recycle my mom's clothes. Yung mga clothes ng mom ko talaga, yung sabi ko, mag-retro vibe ako, tapos ginagawa ko crop top, ganyan. I know how to sew, so I do that for myself. I cut, I sew. Sometimes, meron pa akong project dati yung hindi na yata kasi sa akin na pants, parang trinay kong gawing bag, although hindi ko yata natapos. Pero yun, small stuff like that na matututunan mo it's so nice because it's a hobby. It's a way to help your mental health, but
Yeah.
it's also a way to conserve resources. Kasi nga, you're just reusing stuff from your own wardrobe. So those are just, some of the little ways that we can still reverse the climate change situation. It's really about conscientiously doing the right thing. It's
Yeah.
always about that.
Yeah, I agree. Because like with the whole Mother Earth situation, the global climate change, it's really I wanted to post something about the way we should parang change the way we consume things. Like consumerism really is a part of it. Our consumer behavior, and I think you remember that time nung bumaha sa Tuguegarao. That
Okay.
very yeah, there was a typhoon, right? That also came past by Manila. I'm sure you're also affected, and really, it's the way we consume things. The need to build more condos, building condos in
Mm,
areas that are not supposed to be
exactly.
there. Yung mga ganon. So it really affects the entire entire thing. And now,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
and now we're blaming. Actually, the government is partly to be blamed because they allow mga poor urban planning, yung mga ganon. So that's another
mm.
issue. But I like what you say there na parang it's the way we consume that affects this entire global climate change problem. So,
Yes po.
okay. All right. Sige, this is an interesting question. If Mother Earth were to have a conversation with you, what will you tell her?
Okay, so firstly, I would like to apologize muna. Kasi, of course, hindi naman ako perfect person. I still have my flaws. I still have things that nakakalimutan ko to do. Like, for example, nakakalabas ako ng Tumblr. It happens. And, I would just like to apologize to Mother Earth for the things that we all have been doing to her. Kasi,
Yeah.
imagine mo naman talaga, for example, if we're going to analogize it na ang earth natin is actually a person's body. Try having your body cold and ripped apart and digged into. Diba? It's so painful. It's so unnatural and talagang destructive. So I would like to apologize to Mother Earth for the things that we've been doing to her in the name of development. And secondly, I would also like to thank our Mother Earth for still giving us these resources that we need to survive.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, tayo lang naman talaga yung dahilan kung bakit nagdidwindle yung resources natin, why we have issues in food security and stuff like that. It's really because of man-made reasons. But even despite the destruction that we're causing, the earth still produces bountiful fruits and vegetables and other crops, and we're still being sustained by it. So the third thing that I would want to tell our Mother Earth is, I would want to assure her that there are still people out there who are doing their part to protect her. And there are still, people like us na kahit hindi man tayo perfect talaga in all of our ways, we're still making an effort to make a change, make an impact, and just reverse the climate change situation. So those are the things that I want to say to our Mother.
Yeah, and I want to tell, if I were to speak to Mother Earth, I will tell her, hey, Mother Earth, I've been trying to eat vegan meat. Because naalala ko lang kasi pag nagmi-meat ka kasi na nagmi-meat, di ba? Parang you're also contributing to carbon emissions because
yes, that's true po.
The factories, the processing and everything. But yeah, again, it all boils down to the way we consume, even in our food. So,
yes.
Okay, eto, second to the last question. Is the Miss Earth title relevant during the COVID-19 pandemic?
I would say that it is one of the most relevant pageants actually. Even more so because of the pandemic. Kasi, when we go back to the first few months of the pandemic, there were these, actually, iba fake news pa nga na nag-clear up na daw ang mga oceans natin, stuff like that. Maybe it is true to an extent, pero you can see naman talaga the difference sa yung walang tao sa kalsada, walang cars sa kalsada, just imagine the carbon emissions that were lowered down because of the lockdown. So I'm not necessarily saying that the lockdown is the best way to approach this, but just somehow the lowering of car emissions, talagang nakatulong na din siya a little bit to our environment. So, Miss Philippines Earth as a title, I think it's very relevant in these times. Kasi it's one of those pageants that really hone in to their advocacy. They're not much about the glitz and the glamour. Of course, it's always there. It will always be part of a pageant. But with Miss Philippines Earth, I love how they focus on their advocacies, and I love how I see them on social media actually doing what they promised to do. So, for example, our reigning queens, I have been watching their journey as reigning queens, and I can see na talaga na-implement yung advocacies nila. And I aspire to be one of them, to be one of the queens who are actually finding my advocacy in a nationwide level pa nga. So, I think talagang lalo pang na-highlight ng pandemic yung relevance of Miss Philippines Earth as a title.
Yeah, and the entire pandemic thing started because of a mismanagement in a market, public market, diba? And
that's true.
And it involves a living organism. So yeah, I agree with everything that you say, and you're in the right pageant, Sophia. So last question. Oh yeah, Sophia, I'll cut this off. Let's try to reshoot questions 1, 2, and 3. Kasi nag-clear na yung nag-clear na yung internet mo eh. So let's reshoot after the last question, ha? Sige. Okay. So again, Sophia, last question. If the Miss Earth Philippines title, it's so funny because I always keep on saying Miss Earth. So is this a prophetic word? So, okay. Nawala ko, Sophia. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, na.
Okay, sige. Okay, it's so funny because I always say, hello? Are you there? Yeah. It's okay.
There. Okay.
It's so funny because I always say Miss Earth, no? It's a prophetic declaration.
Yes. Hopefully.
So I'll be very happy, Sophia, if you're gonna win. So, kasi, for everyone's information, Roxy is a friend. And she won Miss Philippines Earth. So it would be nice if my another friend would win also. If it would be you, it would be really nice, Sophia. So, yeah, so, okay. If the Miss Earth Philippines title is just another title and will not serve its purpose, would you still be interested in winning the crown? Why or why not?
Hello, Tito.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me? Did you hear my question? Hello.
Yes, Tito. Wait lang. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Sige. Okay. Okay, Sophia. Last question. If the Miss Earth title is just another title, hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Did you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Again. Sige. If the Miss Earth title is just another title and will not serve its purpose, would you still be interested in winning the crown? Why or why not?
Well, the reason I joined Miss Philippines is because of its purpose as a pageant, which is to protect our Mother Earth. So I don't think I will be interested in winning the crown. Saying, it's not performing its duties well. Because, that's the essence of a beauty queen. We have our own duties. We have our activities that we want to promote in our own platforms. And if we don't have Miss Philippines Earth as a platform, as an effective platform, it will all be for nothing. It will be futile. I would rather put my energy into other programs where I can actually make a difference. But knowing that Miss Philippines Earth actually, do what they promised to do, that is why I'm very, very geared up, and I am very on fire and passionate about winning this particular title.
Nice. Yeah. So, wow, Sophia, grabe, you're so impressive. I'm so speechless. It was as if you came out of the classroom and joined Miss Philippines Earth. You have all of this knowledge about the environment. So, Sophia, thank you so much. Any Any messages to your supporters now that you're back in pageantry after a very long time? Your last pageant, I bet,
Mhm.
was Miss Mandaluyong, and you were also very successful in that stint. Now, what are your messages to your fans, including me, your Tito Jian? Yeah.
Yes, so Tito. So, number one, thank you so much to everyone. As in, I really cannot just put it into speech how much appreciation I have for the people who always support me, especially you, Tito Gian, and of course my family, my glam team, my fan club. Wow, meron na akong ganun ngayon. Natutuwa ako.
Yeah.
So, I'm very thankful to everyone. As in, talagang everyone are so sipag na mag-comment ng mga support nila, messages of encouragement and motivation. I cannot reply to everyone. Kaya I always make it a point to at least put it on video, say thank you to them. Kasi, ang iba talaga eh. Iba yung, alam mo yun, it's an effort. Kahit na it's just a comment, it's just a message, yung pag-type, it's still an effort, it's still a part, it's still a few seconds of their lifetime that they give towards supporting me. And I will always appreciate that. And another message that I would want to impart to you guys is I hope you guys help me through my advocacy. I am very, very serious about this. Hindi ko siya talaga, I'm not in this pageant for the glitz and glamour. I really want to develop and implement this advocacy. And I hope you guys stay with me through my journey because whatever happens with Miss Philippines Earth, whatever happens, I always would promise that I will make it a point to make this a reality, this advocacy of mine. I really push it towards the end. And yun lang. I hope you guys always learn something from me a little bit whenever I talk. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you, Sophia, and I feel like when this recording will come out, when this episode will come out, the Lord will put everything in its right place, and I'm so happy
Thank you.
that you joined, and I always saw your potential even way back, no? And I'm happy that you decided to foray into this national pageant. So.
Mhm.
Again, guys, support Sofia Lopez Galve. She's one of the finalists for this year's Miss Philippines Earth, and it will be another virtual pageant, and we're very excited about it. Aside that Miss Philippines Earth is a pioneer in creating a pageant that creates an effective change in the environment, they were the ones who did the virtual pageant first. So
Mm.
always a first in Miss Earth. So again, guys, thank you very much for supporting us in this episode of Pageant Talks with Sophia. And make sure to follow and like all of our social or subscribe to all of our social media accounts. And stay tuned for the next episode of Pageant Talk Season 2 with me, Jian Lasala. Bye!